You sit back, and then we can always move the chair so you can be in it as well. As you're the host.
We're off.
Yeah,
The host.
Get the host.
Cornish Phil Kitchen, podcast number 7,000. But we're not in Cornwall. We're in
Hey, you're
Devon.
in Devon.
Across the border on a day off.
Welcome to Tavistock.
Ben Stevens,
Hi.
long time friend from
Yes.
way back.
Well,
Well, not way back, but we
it's been about 15 years.
yeah, but we haven't seen each other for ages, and then we bumped into each other at Expo at the
trade
Cornwall
show.
at a trade show.
Which I haven't been to for 10 years.
Yeah, I'm always there.
Yeah.
Every year for Total Produce, or dull as they are now, being eye candy and talking to people. So we thought we'd have a catch up, and we'll do it as a podcast of Ben's journey in hospitality and catering.
Bumpy as everybody else's.
Bumpy ride, highs and
ride.
lows.
Yeah.
And the first question we should kick off with is where were you born? Where did you start your life?
I was born in Kings Lynn.
Kings Lynn.
I have never been back.
Okay.
I know nothing about Kings Lynn. My birth story, I suppose, is a little bit of a odd one. I was conceived in France. My mum was travelling back from India,
Okay.
and she decided that it was better to be born in UK and have a UK passport.
Right.
Back then, it was a long time ago. 50 this year, just turned 50. So she went back to the UK, and I was born in Kings Lynn. And I think she lived in Southampton, and then she met my stepdad, and they got married when I was 2 in Cornwall, and I ended up in Cornwall.
So you feel Cornish?
So yeah, I was in Cornwall. Cornwall was my home from 2 until 10 years ago, 8 years ago maybe, when I came over the border,
Right.
which I did 25 years ago as well when I came to Dartmoor. I love Dartmoor. I went to Morton Hampstead in Chagford for a couple of years, worked for Peter de Savary.
Okay. Oh wow.
Colourful chap.
Sailing guy. America's Cup. All
Yes.
that back in the day, in the
Yes.
80s.
Interesting. Try not to be slanderous now. Interesting guy who used
He
to.
can't still be alive.
He has died.
Yeah.
I found out the other day. Which means I can't tell any stories about him, or I could tell them anyway. He was quite hilarious. So I was the assistant general manager of the White Hart Hotel in Morton Hampstead for a couple of years. And he owned Bovey Castle and the White Hart's part and the Sandy Park Inn.
So what age were you there when you started?
Oh my God, that was when I left Cornwall that time. That was, I don't know, something like 2003.
So education-wise,
Well, so I grew up.
birth to first
Yeah,
job.
we'll do chronological then, I suppose. So I was in Cornwall. I went to a junior school in Redruth. I went to a secondary school in Newquay, and I went to catering college at Poole
There you go.
for 3 years
Paul,
with Stuart Matheson.
good man.
Good man. His wife was my English teacher at school.
See the connections. See, Stuart is our HA boss. He's my boss for HA for the Southwest,
Yeah,
and brilliant guy.
absolutely brilliant guy. Taught me so much. I loved college.
So a 3-year course.
3 years. Well, I didn't quite get the GCSEs that I needed
Okay.
for the course, so I had to do an extra year. So I did a year as a BTEC first diploma. I think
BTEC
it was.
diploma. That's definitely management.
It was.
When I went to college for an open evening, it was like City and Guilds.
Yeah, 706 102 or BTEC.
A BTEC diploma, and they were kind of talking. That's more of a management thing, and this is more sort of craft thing. And I went, "Oh, it'd be craft." My mum was like, "Oh, BTEC diploma sounds really grand. Maybe you want to be a manager." And I went, "No, I want to be a chef." So I went for the City and Guilds bit.
Well, prior to going to college, I did school work experience, and they used to give you these long lists of all these jobs that were available with different employers, and I don't like lists. I was like, "Oh, hotel manager, that sounds interesting." So I went and spent 2 weeks in the Beresford Hotel in Newquay
Oh, cool.
as a general assistant, do
Yeah.
everything, with a guy, and I remember to this day the guy that I was like paired with for my time there was a guy called Chris T. And we had pin boards, or the hotel had pin boards for everything that was going on by the day, and it he would always put the T next to his first name, so he became Christ on the bin. So I remember this guy, and jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So I did some waiting tables. I was working part time in a restaurant at the time anyway. I did some waiting tables. I did a little bit of chambermaining, did a little bit of reception, did a bit of everything, and fixed some plumbing. Just basically shadowed this guy for 2 weeks in everything hotel, and I kind of loved it. It was just that the diversity and the characters were. It was wonderful. It was colourful and it was exciting.
That's what. You were 14, 15, you do your work experience. That's that's your first taste of it. Then college at 16.
And then I got a job in the local. So our local big manor house pub been bought out by a couple of Londonites who turned it into a very swanky manor restaurant with rooms. Although I don't think they ever finished the rooms, but manor restaurant. So I worked there from a week before my 16th birthday.
I'm going to look at that just to make sure that it's still recording.
Yeah, is it
because
still
sometimes
recording?
we run out of memory.
Okay.
So I just have to look.
Well, I can ramble. Long life, lots of stories.
So
But anyway, so I did that. So I was working in a restaurant, and then I thought, well, what am I going to do for college? So I ended up I did a BTEC first diploma, and then I did a BTEC national diploma in hotel and institutional catering management studies, or whatever it was called back then. Stuart Matheson was my head of department and my service tutor. So I was primary, although we did kitchen work as well. Primarily, I was restaurant management,
Customer
hotel
facing.
management, right at front house for basically first 15 years of my career.
Right.
I was running restaurants and bars and pubs and.
When I was at college, it's the only time I ever got A grades in anything. Any part was front of house.
Yeah.
And I didn't really enjoy it.
I loved it.
And then when Dan was at college and he was getting good grades for food service, and one of his reports said, "Right, high hopes for Dan, who really excels and who really enjoys it," and he was like, "I don't." I said, "Well, you've cracked hospitality because
Do the bit you don't like.
You can convince your tutors that you're enjoying it, which means you'll convince the guests that you're having a good time.
Yeah,
that's hospitality basically. You've cracked it.
Yeah,
you don't actually have,
It's all PR.
Yeah, it's all.
We are the original PR machine where you make people feel comfortable and willing to part their money.
Yeah. Anyway,
buy stuff, love it. So I did that, and then what did I do? Left college.
So 15 years of front of house.
Yeah, about 15 years of front of house, and did lots of different stuff. Ran lots of different restaurant departments and wine departments. I was at Carlisle Bay Hotel, the Nair Hotel. I was at Tregloss, which I went to visit recently. It doesn't exist anymore, down at Constantine Bay.
Yeah. Well, Judy worked at Tregloss back in the day.
There you go.
Before it closed. Did a little waitressing in the evening.
I was there when I was like 17, 18, so...
Way before Judy.
33 years ago.
Yeah.
Loved it. Great fun. So I would always do college, work one or two jobs, did everything. Had a little bike. We're both bikers.
We are.
Had a little bike, so I would ride to work in the rain, get soaking wet, get to work at the other end, change into black and white waiting uniform, little jackets with tassels on.
Oh,
Wow. Carlisle Bay was hilarious. The breakfast uniform was like a white tunic with gold buttons and shoulder pads with tassels. Do you remember that stuff?
I can imagine.
Back in those days.
Wow.
Yeah, the uniforms were great. And I think little burgundy bow ties and black waistcoats, that was quite common. Yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Love restaurants. Love front of house stuff. But I had quite a big shift into the kitchen world. I always wanted to own my own restaurants. Always wanted to run my own restaurants and had big grand schemes for opening chains and doing all sorts of dramatic stuff, which I'm sure we can touch on later. But at this time, I was working at a place called Stingy Lulu's in Truro, which was in the
Great name.
museum, and it had just been sold. The chef who built the place set it up as a proper fusion restaurant. Bento boxes for lunch, fantastic, phenomenal Pan Asian restaurant food, big lunchtimes. Anyway, it just got sold to a guy who owned an insurance company and a guy who owned a Chinese takeaway. Their experience of catering was non-existent and also incredibly irresponsible. Anyway, so he sold it to them and he started and they had this kitchen. Anyway, so I was running this restaurant for them, and they kept banging on about the fact that their wage bill in the front of the house was too big and they weren't making enough money, and they kept cutting it back and cutting it back and cutting it back. And meanwhile, in the kitchen, they had like 15 chefs because they didn't understand enough about the kitchen to say, you can't do this on this budget. So there ended up being me and a barman trying to run this 150, 200 cover restaurant for lunch, and a brigade of chefs. And the imbalance was just horrendous, and it all fell apart, which obviously it was going to. And I said to myself, I don't ever want to be in a position where I don't know enough about running a kitchen. Never put my hands up to say I'm the best chef in the world. That's never been my thing.
Not many of us do put our hands up to say we're the best.
It's not something I naturally take to, but I knew that I had to force myself to learn enough, because if I ever wanted a place of my own, I needed to know whether somebody was pulling the wool over my eyes, or whether what they're asking me reasonable, or all the controls.
That's the thing. You never employ someone that you can't do their job.
You need to be able to do their job.
You should be employing people that can do it better than you, but you've got to have an understanding. Otherwise, they will have you over a barrel.
Absolutely.
And people will take advantage of that. I've seen it happen time and time again. I've done I wouldn't call it consultancy, but I've had chats with people.
Yeah.
And they'll go, I said, you can't do the job that you're paying the chef to do. You can't do it. So
how do you know they do?
That's your big disadvantage. Maybe I don't know what the answer to that is.
So I learned it.
Yeah, you learn it.
I learned it. I went onto the agency books and I put myself literally in the line of fire. I would rock up at places. I had no idea what was going on. I would just take any job in a kitchen for a period of time and bounced around. And I also at the same time phoned a chap called Kevin Viner.
Okay.
Kevin, for those who don't know, which is probably not many, he was the first Michelin star chef in Cornwall back in the 80s with a restaurant called Penny Pots.
Indeed.
And I was living in Indian Queens at the time, and he had a restaurant called Viners down at Summercourt, which was probably 2 rosette gastro pub, country pub restaurant. Fab, really nice. Anyway, I phoned him up and I said, Kevin, I haven't been in a kitchen for 15 years since I left college. Have you got anything where I can come and learn and I'll do it, whatever? And he said, well, I can't pay you what you're used to being paid, but come and be a commie. So I worked with Kevin for about 18 months, and it was great. It was great fun.
Solid.
I learned very fast a lot of different stuff.
It's almost one-to-one teaching, so
Yeah, I think there were 4 of us in total, and we did everything. And it was an incredible kind of learning journey. And then at the same time, whenever I wasn't working with him, I was doing these agency shifts, and I was being sent to pubs where there was no chef and a menu, and you just had to make it up as you went along. And it was terrifying and courage building all in one go, because actually after a couple of years of putting yourself in that kind of situation, you can find solutions.
Yeah.
You can make it up as you go along if you have to, and you can.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did a little spell of agency.
It's hard.
Left a hotel, and I had plans with a woman to go to Ireland, and then we fell apart. So I'd already put my resignation in. So I thought, well, I can't. I'm not going to.
Not going to change your mind.
I'm not going to. I am going to have to change. And we're using agency staff, chefs occasionally at the hotel. So I had an in with them, and an agency I never met them in face to face.
Did you not?
I only did phone calls.
Was it Andy?
And I had.
Or Kim?
No, this is in Reading, not Reading, Guildford area.
Guildford.
My life pre-Cornwall, and just phone calls. And my first job they gave me was my old job.
Oh really? You
Because I'd left, but they were
Did
sure.
you get paid more for it?
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. Plus, it was better because they would say you can finish now, Adrian, because you cost too much.
Yeah.
So we don't really need you for the clean down. We just need
Oh,
you really for a
nice.
nice narrow.
So you skip the last hour and a half of scrubbing.
Well, it just bugger up, and I was still living in the hotel, so it was quite a nice arrangement.
Nice.
And it also helped when I went for I did a few, probably 2 or 3 months at the Feathers in Woodstock, which was a fantastic experience. Frightening,
Yeah.
but it was the first real proper kitchen I'd ever done. They were making croissants, they were making bread, they were making everything from scratch.
It's a different experience.
And I just had the veg section to run, and that was hard enough.
Yeah.
I was just head down trying to survive.
Just to keep on top of it.
And they were selling the hotel, so they weren't sure when the end date was. So do a week, can you do another week? Can you do another week?
Yeah.
We're not sure, and they didn't want to employ anyone because it wouldn't be fair. Because there'd be new owners would come in, new head chef was coming in. Our head chef was going to be setting up her own place with the existing owner. They're moving on.
There's a lot of transition in hospitality.
And yeah, it was a massive learning curve. But yeah, also helped when you go for a job. You go, well, my last job was paying this, and they go, that's a lot. And you didn't tell them it was agency, so it helped. Anyway,
It's
back
good
to
fun.
yours.
It's good fun. It's so many stories. Like I say, I am 50 now, and actually, I've had a colourful life, and hospitality has been there all the way through.
Yeah.
Even I had a couple of years out doing this, and a couple of years out doing this. And
Drags you back.
It drags you back because once it's under your skin, you can't. There's not anything.
Well, I think it finds the people that it needs a lot of the time, and people find it who need it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I've learned over the last few years. There's a really high probability that I'm ADHD. It started off learning about ADHD, and there is a huge link between hospitality, especially kitchen roles, and
Yeah.
ADHD. People with ADHD, because of the dopamine, the serotonin, and also the drug addiction and the mental health.
Yeah.
So I think there are certain roles in our societies, these societies that we have now, there are certain roles that lend themselves to people
Yeah.
with particular emotional needs and quirks.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think I've always appreciated the fact that if you're good enough, you're old enough. It doesn't matter, you can be young, but if you're good, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You get the job. And I'm old, and it doesn't matter. You can do the job, you get
do
the
the
job.
and you show up.
And you show up, and basics, turn up on time, do the job, do a day's work,
It's graft.
and
You can't escape. You can't escape the graft in hospitality.
well, some people manage it.
Some people manage it. Especially owners. I've seen quite a lot of owners over the years who kind of just sort of float in and out.
Yeah.
I worked for Compass Group for 5 years, which was my longest ever job. I was an area manager for school kitchens, primary school kitchens, which was a fantastic job, which combined like food skills and management skills and people skills. But I had an amazing mentor, and he used to say you should never be a pigeon manager. And a pigeon manager, as he used to say, is that the manager that drops in shits and then leaves.
I like
I always
that.
remember that. You complete that.
I don't have to bleep. It's not suitable for kids. It's the only thing I put on YouTube that's not suitable for kids.
But it was that was good fun as well. Yeah, so I moved into kitchens and learned as much as I could about kitchens, and then I did this area manager job, which I really enjoyed, and I did this senior management training program with them. It was about profit control and HR, people control. So that was phenomenal experience. Yeah, really loved that. And then I came out of that, and I kind of did some consulting for a little while.
Delicate trade.
Delicate Trade, which is a name that I came up with in college with a couple of people, 20 odd years previous. So I was doing some consulting for a couple of years, which is when we met.
Yeah, you were Delicate Trade when we met.
I was Delicate Trade, and we met on Twitter.
Probably. Yeah.
I nearly said Tinder then. We met on Twitter, which was Twitter then. It's now not. But
I will always call it Twitter, even though I've not deactivated my account, but I
just
don't go.
use it.
I just said, I'm not here anymore. If you need to find me,
Pick up the phone.
I'm on Instagram. It can be useful at times.
It was. It
So I
was
don't want to
very
delete the
popular
account
back then.
because it's there, but I don't use it.
Yeah,
It's toxic and it's gone crazy.
Yeah, I don't use it.
But yeah, we were doing the
Cornish Chefs Club,
Cornish Chefs Club.
and you wanted to do a charity.
So you hadn't been to any of the dinners. So it was the open.
It was the charity thing. I think that
We had a meeting.
I think you put a post up saying we want to do something big and charitable, and I said, well, I'm free,
And you came along to the meeting.
and I came along.
That was it. That was
And
it.
we,
That was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah, and then we did that immense dinner,
Yeah.
which was wow. I think
20
it was like 26 grand in a night.
26, 28 grand, something like that.
It was mental, and but it was also a phenomenal dinner.
Oh yeah.
Because there was like 15 of you. I wasn't really cooking back then, but you
No.
guys, it was like 15 of you guys, all doing courses and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it was at Rosewall Manor, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, it was a bit like a football manager, and you have all these chefs that have volunteered, and I think we're like, give every chef a course, and I'm like, well, he's good at that, and if we can get their suppliers to sponsor it, then we had this thing of we're not going to pay for anything.
Yeah.
We even had the insurance sponsored by someone else for our public liability, even though as an extra event, belt and braces, a small policy, someone sponsored it. We didn't even have to pay for that, and so we tried to get chefs to have, someone who's really good with fish, will have good fish suppliers who might be very generous to him on a fish base. So I did all this list, and I was like quite happy with it, and was about to go and say, these are your courses, boys. Because I'd asked them, what's the course you want and what's the course you don't want, and I'll try and make everybody happy. You might not get the course you want, but you won't get the course you don't want.
Yeah.
Try and be fair. And then I was really happy, like, yeah, that works, and then realised I hadn't given myself a course. Oh, shit.
So you did a
Oh, well, we'll add cheese. We'll add cheese, that's easy. Cheese is easy, I'll add that at the end. But yeah, it was a really good event. The start of a lot of good long-term friendships, connections.
It was fab. And the
yeah.
service, because I think I got quite involved in the marketing bits and the servicey bits. So I worked with Phil Oakes, who was at the college at the time.
Yeah.
And he turned up with a bunch of...
Yeah, see, the service side of
Students.
it,
You didn't even see it.
didn't have any recollection of any involvement with it.
It was spectacular. We orchestrated like a ballet of service, because you sent everything out with cloches. So we had they were like tables of 10.
Yeah.
And we would have 5 waiting staff per table. And we organised it so because traditionally, you would serve from the left and clear right away. So we had all these kids, and they would put the plate down, and then they would stand at the right, and then on the signal, each one would just fling the
Ta-da.
glass up in the air. It was like, I don't know.
Theatre,
It was theatre, and it was beautiful, and everyone was having so much fun at the front. You guys were all like, yeah, plates everywhere and everything going, and it was
mental.
beautiful. And the front was just working like a beautiful swan.
Yeah.
And then we did that crazy auction where we had prizes from Aston Martin and prizes from, was it Liverpool or Man U? I can't remember.
We had a shirt from some team.
We had all sorts going on.
Yeah, it
Raised
was
so much money. It was
mental because it was 27 grand we raised and we had no expenses because the marquee was from a wedding at Rosewall Manor, so we said just leave it for extra 2 days. That doesn't really inconvenience them too much.
Yeah.
And they get a bit of publicity for helping out. And well, it wasn't Total Produce then. What was it called then? Because it was Total Dole.
There was Forest.
Well, anyway, Dole, whoever, Nick Matthews, you'll know who he is.
Yeah.
It was on board straight away.
It was
the fastest thing
It
going.
was huge. It just went mental,
Really fast.
really quickly.
And still good friends with I'll tell you all the chefs on the list.
Yeah.
Some I don't see as much, but
Phil comes here. He came to when I was running the pub, the Leaping Salmon. Phil comes and sees me a couple of times a year, which is really nice. I
I'm
catch
trying
up
to
with a
think.
few. Steve Marsh came and worked for me for a little while.
Yeah. Me and Steve were,
We've been friends for a long time.
we did the duck trip together, and I helped him out.
I don't talk to him very much these days, but we had a bit of a falling out.
Yeah, people do.
Does, but
People do.
no sweat, no tears. But made some great friends doing that. And then we did the Just Got dinners.
Yeah. Good fun.
And
See, the thing with delicate trade was I never really understood it. It's like, yeah, it's a consultancy thing, and I never got my head around what you actually did.
Well, the idea was to help some of these people that end up buying little restaurants and hotels and need help, get some help.
Yeah.
So it was, and to be honest, I never really made any money out of it, but I really enjoyed it. I met some great people, and I would just go and try and help them overcome some of the challenges.
Very,
they had.
what's the word? Self-motivated, and it was. I mean, we had. There's always a test of people. It's the people that volunteer for events with no knowledge of, or not even events, of things.
Yeah.
I did a thing at the college a few years back now, and someone had dropped out of careers week, you know, and it's like, can you do something like tomorrow? I'm not going to set up a demo. They could probably get. It's a great week. Everything gets thrown at them, you know. Chocolatier, a game. You know, some butcher will come in and do a pig, or chefs will do demos and all that stuff. So probably enough demos. I'll come and just have a chat with them, and they're all in the restaurant. And the first thing I did was ask for 3 volunteers, and you know where they sat, what time they arrived, how they said, you know, good afternoon. It was all these little pieces. You know, the people that can be asked, they sit over there. Yeah. Naturally, the people the people that are, you know, have got some energy about them. They sit at the front. They're on time or early. Yeah. And they're starting asking questions before you've even started talking to them. Yeah. Who are you? What are you doing here? Yeah. You know, and you ask for volunteers, and you know it's those front people. And they go, what are we volunteering for? I said, that's not the point. I said, it could be clean my motorbike, have a biscuit, you know. And I said, these things, you know, the best you can do is put yourself forward. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah,
exactly.
You get a shitty job. But you'll be remembered as the guy that put his, you know. So you're a classic example of that. It's the guy that came up to a meeting of chefs that probably knew each other. Yeah, we knew each other already.
Knew each other well.
And you came up, yeah, I can help. And you did, massively. So it's that.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was a big thing. It was a really big thing.
It was fab. I do, yeah. And I suppose within the kind of consultancy sort of thing, I made some really fascinating connections and did some really interesting, and I did more volunteer work than I did anything else, but never really in my life had I had time and facility to do other stuff that was not paid. Mm. You know, I had a mortgage and all sorts of things, but we muddled along. I think I did some agency work as well, just to keep some bits ticking along. But I ended up working on the Better Bodmin Town Regeneration Programme. Right. So I helped write a 50-year programme that analysed. It was Mary Porter's back there. She'd done a report on the decline of high streets and how town centres were changing and things. And there was a little volunteer group working on we called it a prospectus. There was an architect, and there was a couple of business people, and the people were involved, and there was a lot of research went into this. And we wrote this prospectus for how Bodmin could change from its declining point back then into something over the years that would increase micro businesses, increase medium-sized businesses, increase footfall into the town, reduce pollution from streets.
All the good stuff.
And then that prospectus then was adopted by the town framework and the town council, and then the planning applications, and they kind of all started working together with this view that if they joined the dots, they could move the progress of the town development in a direction that would support rebuilding and regenerating Bodmin. And a big part of that then became the college, the university campus from Truro and Penwith, because they built this massive college. And it's really quite interesting going back now, because that was, must be nearly 15 years ago, and little bits of the planning stuff, and you can look at it and think, there's where the cycle tracks, so they've started actually incorporating. It takes years to change how a town works. Yeah.
But if you don't put the
if you don't put the bloody work in,
if you don't put the foundation,
nothing changes.
It can't happen. You know, someone's got to be thinking long term, and put the foundations in.
Yeah, so I had a great time.
But you won't be there to see.
No.
It's like planting trees. You know.
Yeah, exactly. You do it for the future. You do it for the future generations. Trees. So that was, that came off that time. What else did I do? I sat on one of the DEFRA boards, the kind of grant funding board. I did all sorts because I just said yes, and I really loved
so much easier to say yes.
And just kind of follow your instincts and hope for the best. I did all that. That was quite cool. And then so that was going on, and then I wrote a business plan for a business that was basically a whole rewrite of a launch of a new restaurant. So many elements within this thing, and they chose not to adopt it. So I had this whole plan, and I was working with some like director. I can't even remember what it's called now. Anyway, like a mentorship. So within it, I had access to a mentor as well, or a, like a business advisor, because we always used to just sort of support each other. And he said, well, you got this plan. I said, well, you just
You do.
do it.
Do it.
Do it. I said, well, I haven't got any money. He said, well, I'll get you some grant funding. So he got a startup loan for us for like 25 grand, and it was supposed to be a couple of us. We had like somebody who was supposed to be involved in the whole
This is
process.
an hostel.
This is an hostel.
Bank.
And he pulled out like just at the beginning of the process. Was like, well, I'm on my own. I've got this grant funding, this loan. Let's find a premises and see if we can make this work. And at the same time, or round about, the MP for Snottle Newquay on Twitter was like, put your money where your mouth is about St Austell. Possibly the dumbest, craziest decision I have ever made in my life.
Yeah.
So I took on
But it was.
a massive Lloyd's Bank, not derelict, but empty Lloyd's Bank property that was huge and was still a bank. I mean, we needed to convert it really quickly. So because it needed to earn money.
Little offices. Like little micro little offices for people to have their little chats about their overdraft.
But that place was huge. You went upstairs. We did
Upstairs as well.
We're the first floor, so we built a kitchen. I did 65 square metres of tiling for a kitchen floor in the middle of an open plan office upstairs, and put this ginormous kitchen in. And downstairs we had 90 seats. So we had an 11-metre bar that was built out of the bulletproof counter. So we had to remove the bulletproof glass that weighed about 60 kilos a piece, and there was 8 or 9 of them. And then we moved them into the vault. There was a walk-in bank vault.
I do remember the vault.
It was incredible.
We had we turned it into a card room with little private dining with like fake gold bars behind bars.
Yeah.
We had all these. Oh yeah, it was very.
It was incredible. And there were like 5 little offices where the managers would have their little chats downstairs on the restaurant floor. So we had like 95 seats and a 12-metre bar. It was enormous.
I do remember it well.
But it was fab, and we did it as a cabaret club. And I employed one of my friends who I'd worked with. She came and she just booked entertainment. We had like 4 or 5 nights of entertainment a week. It was way too much, and in entirely the wrong town.
Yeah.
Because the town,
But
the
the
town
thing
was
is,
like
The
declining.
thing is, you did it.
We did it.
You had
I
to go.
learned so much.
You know, it's a bit like art, right?
Maybe ill,
People
but
go,
yeah.
well, I could do that. Well,
Do it.
fucking do it then.
Do it.
Smarty knickers.
Yeah.
Because if it's that easy, then you could do it.
Yeah.
And if you do it and it sells, then you're an artist, and you can. And then you'll, I get so frustrated where people, looks like a kid did it. Well,
Do it.
a friend of mine did, sell a painting through my restaurant, but she didn't think of herself as an artist.
Yeah.
I said, we're always looking for new pictures. And I said, well, if you want to
Put
sell
it-
them,
put
put
it
a
on.
price on it.
Yeah.
And she couldn't come up with a price, but she eventually, and then someone fell in love with this big Mayday sort of mask
beautiful.
thing. And I'd bring it, do you want to sell it? Because they're making an offer. And she went, I will sell it. And then there you go. You're an artist.
You're a paid artist.
Somebody
appreciates it enough to pay for it.
I would have bought it. It was beautiful. But yeah, anyway, we're not, it's not an art podcast. It's
Well, but art
Ben-
falls into hospitality.
don't get me
doesn't it?
started.
I remember seeing a dinner where you and Anton
Don't go there.
art
Fuck
craft argument at the dinner table.
I'll get in real trouble if I really say what I thought of what was going on that night.
That was not the most pleasant.
That was a
dinners.
Devon Chefs Club dinner.
Yes.
We came over to support their endeavours. I can't remember who hosted it.
I've got a feeling that one was at the Moreland Garden Hotel
Yeah, maybe Andrew.
with Davin.
Was Andrew possibly?
Andrew.
Yeah, you see.
Andrew was running it, Davin. There was another head chef.
I'll have to check up with Andrew.
That's when.
Because I blotted that from my mind. Because
you guys did the Cornwall Chefs Club, and I ended up getting somebody to design a logo. We did that. And then the Devon Chefs Club became up. We want to do a Devon one. Let's do a Devon one. So I became friends with loads of people up here.
So yeah, we came over to support
You
them. I
came
remember
over to
Phil
Devon.
and me. I don't know if my wife was with me. I do remember not a stand-up row, but I just losing my shit.
It was quite bickery.
Because like everything, you know.
It was challenging, but I think
Challenging?
I think Anton is quite challenging.
I think he's well.
I've only that was I that I
That was
went,
my only experience with him.
yes.
And the less said, the better. Really, I don't want to get sued.
No. Anyway, so we did that.
But I think I was a prick.
But there
That's
is
as far as I'll go.
But going back to, I'm not going to say anything about the fact that it's art or craft. There is an artistry in hospitality.
Yes.
With you're creating mood. You're not just creating food in a restaurant or a hotel or a bar or anything to do with hospitality. You're creating mood. You're creating ambiance.
Absolutely.
The people that you want, to come, need to enjoy. Whether that's a greasy spoon, or fine dining, or and the same with pretty much anything. If you've got customers coming, you want to appeal to the right people, and you want them to feel comfortable and pleased to be there and part of their money. So there's an artistry to creating the product and the space.
My definition of art, is something that makes you think.
Yeah.
Right? It's a really simple definition of art. Now you can be artistic.
Yeah.
I can make this plate prettier than this guy. He can make it prettier than you. Blah blah. Whatever. There's an artistry. There's a prettiness.
Yep.
Pleasant on the eye. But that's not art to me. Art makes you think. Mate. It's a sculpture. It can be anything, but it's something that makes you think. And yeah. So that was the argument: was art or craft? And it felt like
we all just sat and watched you. That's hilarious. But on the subject of art,
yes,
and I'm not going to go back to this too much, but you're saying that your definition of the subject of art is something that made you think. I went to a little local pizza place for lunch yesterday, and there was a table, and I kid you not, this had me thinking and talking out loud with other customers about this table, because it made me think, and I don't know why purpose. So this was an oblong table in a budget-friendly little local pizza salad bar. It's nice, it's cute, it's very gentle, and it had an oblong table, and at one end of the oblong table was a silver pedestal base.
Right.
And I was looking at this table trying to figure out why it would be at one end of the table and how is it counterbalanced. And then it turned out it had two black legs at the other end. And I was trying to figure out
what lives on the top.
But why?
But why?
Why would somebody build a table that had a silver pedestal at one end and two black legs at the other? For what purpose? And I ended up chatting to all the other people in there, and because they were all looking at me. I was leaning over, and I was going, "What the hell is going on with that table?" And everybody started looking at me. What's this crazy person staring at the bottom of the table?
Everything you do in restaurants, I found that with the bistro, everything you do adds or takes away from the experience.
Yeah.
And it can be, when you're a student, when you're a young chef, you think chef is food, that's all that matters. When it's not the most important thing on a night out, weirdly.
It's part of it.
It's part of it, it's a big chunk of it, but it isn't the most important thing, because if you're, I can have the best food in the world on a plate, but
rubbish service.
Rubbish service never rescues.
Yeah.
That plate will never rescue the bad service.
That has to work together.
But great service can rescue a bad meal.
Well, there is truth to that.
You can have your problem resolved. You can feel heard and looked after and valued and all those good things,
and still have food.
I put a woman in hospital with a bone.
Please, extend that.
I put a woman in hospital. Leave it at that.
That's just threatening behaviour there. Was she talking
mature?
About
Probably lashed her out. They had a fish bone caught in her throat. And I was doing a bit of front of house and cooking at the same time, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And I noticed that she was in discomfort, and it's like bread and water is always a good thing to catch, dislodge it or catch it. And classic like, old lady that doesn't want to make a fuss. Oh no, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I wasn't convinced. And I went, well, it's not your call. I'm going to call a paramedic because that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
They ended up taking her off in the ambulance because they couldn't get to it. And I think, I'd better say sorry. The elderly couple. Husband was more worried about what should he go in the car, leave the car, go in the ambulance? Wasn't sure. He was more worried about his car than his wife.
Well, it's how do we get home?
Yeah. I was like, just go with your wife, sort it out later. Anyway, a couple of days later, she comes back with a lovely scar here. They'd have to go in that way.
Oh, wow.
And she became the most loyal customer.
Yeah.
And every time she'd walk in the bistro, and I'd introduce her to everyone. I go, see this woman here? I put her in hospital, and she still comes back. So don't give me any shit about whatever. And I met her daughter years later. I think it was at a market or somewhere, not at the bistro. And her mother has sadly passed, but she always had fond memories of the restaurant. I went, yeah, I put her in hospital, but it was that's about as bad as you can get.
Yeah.
We had a guy, fall over. He was not right when he came in. He was obviously under the weather, bit unwell from the get-go. And they come to the end of the evening. He hasn't eaten a lot. He hasn't said a lot. He's just been the quiet one of the group. And he said, "Oh, I'm just going to go out and get some fresh air." And they were said, "Yeah, we'll settle the bill. We'll sort it all out." And he went outside and went pedonk. Just went like a tree. Cracked his head on the little step next door. And it was Giles, a friend of mine. Hugo Woolley, the author and serial guy. And anyway, it was his son. His first night being a waiter. And he came into the kitchen and said, "Have you got a damp flannel or a damp cloth?" I said, "What for?" "Oh, guy's cracked his head." I went, "Oh, well, I think we maybe need more than that."
To bit more than that.
Ambulance. He was spark out for a while,
Yeah.
probably less than a minute, but it felt like 3 hours.
Yes,
He came round, down his head. He came back, I think the next day, like Frankenstein with stitches, that way, down.
So just face planted.
It just face planted right in the corner of this step. And he was a different bloke. He was like, "Thank you so much for looking after me the other night." He was full of energy. Yeah. He looked terrible, but full of, I'm better now. I don't know what was wrong with me, fainting fit, whatever. Yeah. But thank you so much for looking after me. But he'd had the worst night of his life, It's smack like that.
It is fascinating how we connect. I think as humans in general. I think there's a lot of disconnect in our current society with phones and social media, and those are different subjects. But I think there's a lot of disconnect. So for a lot of people, actually coming out and being social is around a food place or a drink place, is where they socialise.
Yeah.
Because you don't get it. I mean, I don't socialise that much with people unless I'm going to a bar or going to going dancing or going out for a meal, because I live in a van, as I said to you earlier, and been living in a van for a while, and I love it, and I love that independence of it. But you have to actively go in search of.
I think a lot of people do, because I'm on the.
So that memorable.
There's a committee I'm on. I won't mention what the committee is, but we have our meetings. And they go on. I'm a big believer. A meeting lasts an hour.
Yeah.
If it has to last longer, have another meeting.
Yeah.
Get it all.
Get the work done. And move on.
And for a few of our members, that is quite a social occasion.
Yeah.
So they're quite happy to drag it out. And there's a couple of us who have jobs and businesses and blah 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 to do, and you can do. So, but I understand it now more. It doesn't take. It takes a while to sink in. You go, yes, it's a committee. Yes, it's it's doing good stuff, but it's also a social thing for these people. Doing HA stuff, doing lifeboat stuff, bike stuff, poker. You've got to have interests outside of your world. Otherwise, it's work, sleep, repeat, and then it
just makes you ill. It just takes your life.
Life is for other things as well as. I love my jobs. I always say jobs now, plural, because I have various things.
I love it. I would, yes, I've made quite a lot of big mistakes over the years. Would I change them? No. They've created who I am, and I'm proud of who I am. I do have an admission, mate. Though you mentioned bikes again, I have an admission.
What's that?
Didn't tell you this when I saw you at Expo West. A few months ago, you put diesel in your bike,
Yeah,
and I said to you online, I said, "How on earth
I've done
did
it
you
twice.
do that?" I did it
you prick.
2 weeks after I'd said to you.
Brilliant. It's horrible, isn't it?
I felt such a twat. I have got just kind of in storage down in Cornwall at the moment, but I have a Honda Super Blackbird, which is an excruciatingly wonderful mechanical thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I've only ridden it half a dozen times, and I was so focused. I went took it out for a ride. I was so focused. Right, I'm putting V-Power in it because that's what it needs. You know, it's a bike before this E10 bioethanol shift. So, and I went into the petrol station. Did I realise that they now do a diesel called V-Power? No. So I picked up the nozzle that says V-Power and filled my tank with V-Power diesel.
When did you realise?
When I couldn't start it, and then I spent 3 hours at the side of the petrol station, draining the tank and getting tools brought to me and all sorts, so I could get all of that done.
The second time I managed to do it myself, I managed to drain it because I still had the pump from the first time. Like a siphon, but it's hand pump, you think?
Oh, nice.
Because you don't have to taste the stuff.
I didn't do that. I took the tank off and pulled the whole bloody thing upside down.
I took it out and put the diesel in my car because I'm not going to throw that away.
It's still sitting. I've still got set in a big plastic bowl.
And then drained it and drained it and drained it, and then put proper fuel in and filled it around, and it blew white smoke like you wouldn't believe for a while. But it did run, and it was mad. Like, just burn it off, burn it off, burn it off. Just persevere, and you will get rid of it.
I started as soon as I swapped it, filled up the tank. It started straight away. Rode it back up the road. I was like,
mine took a couple of maybe a day to get it all out and flushed and started, because then you tried to start it so many times.
yeah. So you're just filling everything with diesel.
You're draining the battery again.
But I meant to say to you, and I came away from seeing you at Expo West, and I thought, oh, I never told him.
Well,
That
your
I'd done
confession.
exactly the same thing.
3 Hail Marys and you'll be all right. But no, it's easily done.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
It
It's
is, it
easily
is.
done, but not many people do it.
No.
We do it in cars. And
Yes.
people, I've done it on the cars.
Because you
Julie's
switch
done
from
it on
one
the
to the
car.
other, and especially when
You
you,
know.
borrow a car that uses different fuel.
But
Never
we-
in my life have I done it.
I've done it twice. So I now, a lovely lady at work gave me a little one of them stickers.
To remind
Unleaded
you.
only.
Yeah.
And there's a little sticker, so I put that on my tank. And I'd already written in Sharpie across the tank,
Yes.
no diesel.
No, these.
Idiot. But the bike's been off the road since before Christmas, so
Yeah, I haven't.
we're waiting for a new clutch.
What have you got at the moment?
BMW 1100
K.
RT.
RT. Had a K11 before.
I love it. I love it to bits. So I will spend the money and get it back. But I'm waiting for a mate to have space in his garage so that he can do it.
Yeah.
I trust him with my life. Anyway,
We're not
so
talking. Yeah.
bikes.
Moving
So
on.
yeah, what's next?
Well,
where are we now?
Where
could
are we
come
now?
to
We're at
that.
Tavistock. So when I left.
Tavistock, if you didn't hear that. Tavistock
Yeah,
in
so we're in
Devon.
Tavistock in Devon. So I left. My restaurant's collapsed. My marriage collapsed, and I ended up running away. And I went as far as Plymouth. And I worked at Marco Pierre White's Steakhouse in Plymouth for a while. And then I went to work for Davin, with Davin, as restaurant manager at the Theatre Royal, which was, I had a whale of a time with Davin. And then just before lockdown, I was headhunted to go and help run a really, really, really busy, phenomenal wedding venue. And
In Devon?
just outside Lawson,
Okay.
the Green.
Right.
Which used to be, it was built on the dairy that was Cornish Yard, where Cornish Yard started. And the Green is this phenomenal wedding venue, and 180 weddings a year at that point, and it was a machine, and it was beautiful. They'd done an amazing job, and it was owned by 2 engineers, and they were process driven. How can we make sure that every wedding is as good as it can? So they great at solving problems. And one of my first projects was to come up with a way to use the space and the property that would generate some more revenue in the days where the weddings didn't exist, because you cram an awful lot of weddings in, but there's still days where people don't get married.
Yeah.
So I spent a couple of months researching and built this incredible health and wellbeing package that was going to be. It kind of snowballed as I was coming to terms with my mental health, and because I learned after the collapse of the restaurants, there's something called work-related PTSD.
Right.
If you work yourself to the bone, day in, day out, hour after hour, and put yourself under stress, eventually you will break. Didn't think that when I was young. Do know that very well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we came up with this amazing package that was going to be for frontline NHS, company owners, sales directors. I had Europe's best regression therapist on board. We had a yoga teacher on board, nutritionist. So it was about resetting people in these high pressure environments, and the Royal Cornwall Hospital Trust was helping and also interested in what we were building. This was like going to be a three-day really intensive package to like reset stress, remove some of these pressures, and allow people to kind of get on with their lives in a much healthier way. And it was fun. We've just launched that. We're just starting to sign people up with this thing when COVID hit and the world shut, and the people I was dealing with in the NHS, they were just like, we know we need it, and we need it now more than ever, because the NHS was starting to move towards trying to move towards preventative mental health medicine rather than just dealing with the catastrophe that was coming. COVID shut everything down, apart from the NHS. The NHS were like, oh my God, we need this, but there's no way.
We got other things.
Other things to worry about, and the world just changed. And I just moved to Tavistock. I got a little flat, and it was like 500 yards up the river that way, on the point up there. And had this little flat, and I got laid off. The wedding industry just disintegrated. There was nothing. Hospitality disappeared. The world changed, and I found myself in this weird little town. Didn't know anybody. Suddenly didn't have work, and the lockdowns were, the first lockdown especially, was incredibly challenging for me. As it turned out, with a lot of soul searching, and I did eventually, I found myself a therapist who would do FaceTime therapy. She weren't allowed to do anything, and with a bit of exploration, I recognised and discovered that I'd never spent a single day on my life on my own, ever. I'd always had shared houses or been working in hotels with shared digs, always had people around me, always had restaurants, always had everything. Suddenly, I was spending days, weeks with nobody to talk to, and it became really, really, it was a massive struggle. And I found myself, like a lot of other people, drinking an awful lot, and I would sit down by the river, by the weir, and I would sit down, I swear, this river saved my life. And I would sit almost every evening and have a bottle of wine by the river and watch the bats fly around. And then how are we doing?
No, we're good.
We're good. And then I sort of kind of decided to sort of pick myself up a little bit. And they did this announcement. They said you could now go for walks with strangers in parks. So I went on to so I started using Facebook almost as a journaling tool. And I went onto one of the parish pages, one of the town pages, and I just announced to people around me. I said, look, I moved here, I don't know anybody. We're now allowed to. Does anybody else want to chat or go for a walk or anything? Anybody want to do anything? And the response I got was incredible. I spent that first night chatting to dozens of other people all night long who were also struggling.
Yeah, until you ask the question, you don't know the answer.
I woke up with 500 new local friends in Tavistock on Facebook, and then just was communicating. And I felt, by the end of it, I felt less alone.
Yeah.
They felt less alone. I've made some really, really close friends from that point. And then I started, and I was like, okay, I need to pull myself together. So I started cooking. Again, cooking for one. And it's a bit. Anyway, so I started making a little bit more effort for myself, drinking a little bit less, cooking a little bit less, and I was sharing food online. And then people saying, oh, look, why don't you try and do something? So I asked the town council if I could own a little stall in the square, do some street food? And they said no. So I went back online and I said, does anybody know anywhere where I can do, something with food to earn myself a few quid and keep myself out of trouble? And I had a conversation with a woman called Trudy, who's become a really, really dear friend. And she had a little cafe in town. She owns a little kiosk in the park. And she said, well, I've got this cafe. It's got a kitchen in the back. I've always struggled with chefs. Come and have a chat. So what we did was we did a little collaboration. And so I basically used the kitchen and did savoury food. Her cafe did ice creams and crepes and takeaway coffee, because you could only do takeaway at the time. And I did some takeaway wraps, and then we split the profit. And then when you were allowed to do more, we opened it as a little bistro in the evenings, because her business was daytime.
Yeah.
So basically I started cooking in this little bistro pop up in a little cafe in town. We split the profit, became massive friends. So I did that, and then I did some street food in the local brewery, and the lockdown just gently disappeared. And then I did, with a partner, did little open air food in a field. We put up a marquee, turned a goat shed into a wood fired
I remember those
kitchen.
pictures.
I built a pizza oven out of an upturned dumper truck scoop that I clad with clay, put a chimney on it, and cooked pork bellies and legs of lamb and lobsters. Did a bathtub barbecue, lobsters, and we did like 24 Sunday feasts for a few months in the summer. And then that property was getting sold, and at the same time the local pub in Horrabridge, the Leaping Salmon, beautiful little pub, the owner had renovated it and his son was running it, and at the end of lockdown his son decided enough was enough. He just closed the doors, and we ended up running it for his dad. And Leanne and I did that for 3.5 years, and originally the idea was I would cook until we could find a chef. I still don't consider myself like that, it's outside of my comfort zone. And we kept trying to find chefs, recruit chefs. Chefs are hard work. Lots of money, unreliable,
Dicks, mostly.
pain in the arse.
That's all we did.
So I ended up continuing to cook, and then I cooked more and more and more, and people kept coming and liking it, and I would just teach myself, and we would change the menu every like two or 3 weeks. I was constantly trying to find inspiration for how I can, learn skills enough that I could be competent enough to deliver food that was, and I got pretty good at it. And these people kept coming back, and we started picking up a really good name for ourselves. And then he decided to put it on the market, and this is last year, just after Christmas last year. And Leanne and I were like, well, we like working together, and we like doing what we're doing, and people like coming and buying my food and like her service and space, and we were quite good. So we decided that we couldn't really be asked working for anybody else. So we had a
It's
look
difficult
around.
working for other people, isn't it? I find it really difficult.
You get used to doing it your own way, and then it's really hard to do it somebody else's way.
Yeah.
And then this came on the market, and we used to come here just after lockdown, the courtyard outside. So this is Eastgate Brasserie, and it's been a cafe kind of restaurant for 25 years, I think. And the people that had it before COVID had it for like 15 years, and it was always thriving. It was, sandwiches and salads, good food, good honest food, but nothing fancy. But inside it always looked like an old people's canteen. It was all beige and cream and really full of stuff. And it came on the market just the right time and at just the right price, and we thought, should we do it? So we bought the lease last May 15th.
Wow.
So in 10 days' time, it's our first birthday. And
I'm going to do a little walk around video later, which I'll probably put up so that you can get an idea of what this, especially by the river outside, is just gorgeous.
It is, and it is such a lovely place. And it feels like home, because all that trauma that I went through in lockdown, and I connected with all these people in Tavistock.
See, it's the
I walk
sliding
around,
doors, you see. You don't know where. This whole podcast is about where you started, King's Lynn to Tavistock.
Yeah, and this is
And
where I am.
all the different things that happen. And sometimes they don't seem good at the time.
But they put you where you are.
But, it doesn't, without any of those good things, bad things,
Yeah. You don't get to where you are at the time.
You never get to here. You go over there, and that might not be the nicest places here.
Yeah.
So you just have to.
It's just a journey.
Go with it and
But I
accept
absolutely love it. I still get people coming in here and they're like, Ben, I've been following you since you put that post on Tavi Parish.
Yeah.
You look at you now. You're doing so well. We love your story. It's
And
like,
that is it. It's a personal. Well, salesmen say, you're not a seller. You sell yourself. You can sell yourself. You sell the product. And hospitality is that sort of dialed up.
Yeah.
Because
you have to connect.
if you enjoy the chefs or the owner or the manager of the hotel or the manager of the restaurant, if you enjoy what they do, everything feels better.
Yeah.
That steak will taste better.
Yeah.
In a happy environment.
Yeah. It all plays a part. And we use the word nourish here quite a lot because this isn't just about food. This is actually the way we kind of treat or talk about it or describe it to ourselves is that we're trying to create a space here which nourishes people, not just their food, but nourishes them. So they come, and we've got a lot of regulars, and they come because they've got special diets, and they know that we'll make food that's safe for them.
Yeah.
And we'll go because we're small enough, a tiny little team, that we can pay really specific attention to people's diets, but also how they feel. So, it's a calm space. This is a quiet space. We have very, very quiet, gentle music. We have no phone here, so there's no phone ringing in the background. We don't take bookings. People just pop in and they'll come for a cup of tea and a cake and a natter. And we've got quite a lot of elderly customers who come here, and this is their social connection.
Yeah.
They come and they have tea and coffee and they'll sit there for 2 or 3 hours, and they know that they don't have to rush.
Yeah.
They know that they've got friendly faces around them. They know that we will look after their health as much as we can, and there's outside space so that people can kind of just get a bit of a respite.
Yeah, it's just a pause in the day.
It's a pause.
And I get it straight away as soon as you walk in. I know you're closed today.
It's
But
calm.
The way you
It's a calm
described it,
space.
it's green and there's plants and and to be outside in the sunlight, listening to the water drifting by,
It's incredible.
it's kind of priceless.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you noticed, when we sat outside, I actually sat down and had the sun on my face.
Yeah.
You can't put a value on sun on your face. I've come to that late in life.
Yeah, me too.
That just to stop and have the sun, we're in an industrial estate, quite exposed, and you can see all the way across the Bodmin Moor and stuff. But if you can just stop and have the sun coming, just give you a little boost, a little charge of
Makes
sunlight is vastly important.
we and I think I have been very guilty of this. We work hard in hospitality, and the hours when I was young, and when I had my own restaurant, the big restaurant in Snosswood, I was working 120 hours a week, and I did that for 2 years and made myself very, very ill. I didn't stop. I learned that lesson. I am now very protective of my time off. We shut here because you can't, if you own a place or if you manage a place, you can't switch off if the place is open without you.
Oh yeah.
You're at the end of the phone, you're worried about what's going on. So we shut. We did the same in the pub. We opened 4 days a week. We shut for 3 days. Everybody that works for us has proper time off, including us. And my mental health has improved massively for it, and so does everybody else's. You have to take time to go and do the rest and the fun stuff, and have a life. So and it makes a difference to how we work as well, because if we're not wired and constantly on the go,
It's weird because I do this podcast because I like to know about people I know, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
And the complete difference in you from
back then,
you used to use the word wired.
Yeah.
You were like that. You're full of energy.
Constant.
A bit like Steve Knight. He's full of energy.
Constant going.
It's that. And now you're sort of wise old sage of.
I have
learned some stuff,
that
and
this does not work.
Getting older, getting wiser.
Yeah.
And I've been there myself. Mental health issues, struggling, dark times, and maybe I don't know if it's age that helps you or just life. You get better at it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard lessons.
It's weird that you don't learn necessarily how that fits together until you're already at the end of your middle age.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably.
it's like
Maybe we should be giving lessons to the youngsters.
we should
about-
be, you know, we should be teaching, and there are places in the world where they teach how to look after mental health at school,
Yeah.
how to live life
Yeah.
at school,
I think.
and we don't.
Yeah, I think. Well, I've got 2 kids, adults now, but I think their generation is a lot better equipped than we were.
Well, I think that's because they've observed how fucked up we've been for the last 30
But also,
years.
the more people have talked about,
yeah,
you
it's
know,
becoming more aware.
having therapy, that's not a taboo anymore.
No.
No one's judging you because you have a therapist. I know dozens and dozens of people with therapy, or have had therapy.
Just when you're struggling, have somebody with
know,
an objective.
You get help,
You know,
Well,
neutral-
whether it's a
go
sore
to the
throat,
dentist or go to
broken
the
leg,
doctor. Yeah,
or
exactly. Yeah.
there's no taboo with it. Well, for some there will be, but for me, in my life, if when I was 16 and he's in therapy, oh my God, it's just he's got real issues, real problems.
Yeah.
But now we realise that so many we've all got them.
It's useful. Yeah, we're all battered and
We're
broken.
all-
You know,
we're all damaged.
we've got scars,
and
haven't
so I think the younger generation have a much more. I hate to use the word
Openness
holistic, but a better approach to life.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
But I mean,
lessons
they
learned.
do kind of just look at all the Gen X's and recognise that we're all busted broken and sarcastic.
Yeah, but what a generation, man!
Yeah, I do.
How do I not?
enjoy
I'm
that.
58 this year. So you're thick end. You're pushing 60. That isn't possible. My brain
No.
is
30.
20,
Something.
25.
Oh, you're going for 25.
25-ish. I know the kids come along, and this isn't about hospitality. I don't give a shit. I would say I do these chats to learn about people
Yeah,
because you have chit chats, you have catch ups, but you don't know anybody.
you have to sit down
And all these podcasts are just for my benefit.
Yeah.
To
and.
learn.
I love them. I love them.
learn about people, and every one of them, I've learned stuff like, oh my God, people I know quite well.
Yeah.
But you want to know the whole, not the whole story, but you want to know
More.
a bit more colour to it.
Yeah.
And, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I always say this, well, not always, but I often say, it's a snapshot, it's a scrapbook. I miss my dad's voice. My dad passed 3 years ago. Terrible, I don't know how long my dad's been dead, but I do miss his voice. Now, the generation now coming up will have video clips and, you can find you chatting and me chatting and, there's stuff out there. But my dad, there'll be some Betamax tapes up in a loft somewhere with him talking about something. But I miss his voice. So this is, for me, it's like a little scrapbook of stuff, people scrapbook.
I think it's a fab idea.
Because the thing of you put it on the internet, you can never delete it. Good. So like a little ship in a bottle, off it goes.
Yeah.
It can be there. I find videos of Dan that are like 3 or 4 years old, and he's washing up at the sink and having this chat, and then he realises that I'm videoing him, and the sort of almost roll of the eyes of a 4-year-old. Oh, Dad. But he still goes on. And
But one day he'll get to look back on that.
but I don't know where that is all the time. It comes back, if you know what I mean. And, oh Christ, there's this.
Yeah.
We had to pull out a picture of Boscastle Festival. Well, we were looking for a wedding photo because we were married a long time ago.
Edit.
Pre-internet.
Filling clip.
So we don't have the Facebook thing of when we got married. So to find out if my auntie was an uncle were at my wedding, the only way you can prove it is pull out the photos. So you pull out the photos, and this thing from Boscastle turned up. It was like caricatures of these chefs.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd forgotten we even had that.
That's the one you put on Facebook the other
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
And my sister gave me the painting we had of the bistro front, the watercolour that someone had done, and we'd had some prints done, and I gifted them around. But my sister moved house, and she gifted it back to me, which is great. I'm not thinking, I must have a copy somewhere. Yes, it's in this box of treasure. So this is my little box of little memories and stuff that you'll look back on. You see photos from the past, but not conversations. So it's there for you
I love it.
for the future.
And going towards the not remembering your father's voice and stuff like that, because my dad was killed 25 years ago, he was a photographer, amongst other things. He was a photographer, photojournalist, and a motorbike tester, and he was always on the other side of the camera. So we've got hardly any photos, or there were no recordings and no videotapes back then. So we've got hardly any memories of that, but there's like 2 actual like pencil drawings that we've got prints of, and the rest are magazine front covers where he's on a motorbike doing a stoppie or a test riding, and it's like, that's my dad. We've only got pictures of him when he's on a motorbike, because that's the only time he wasn't behind the camera.
Wow.
It is fascinating. The world has changed. The world has changed so much.
And we have.
And yeah,
I mean, I think we're the same people, but we just
learn more.
we learn more. I've learned loads today. I'm going to draw it to a close because you don't want 3 hours of this.
No, I could talk
bollocks.
for ages. How long have we done? 110.
110 is fine.
There you go. You can edit that down to 10 minutes.
I'm not going to edit anything. I can't edit.
Well, you need
But
to
you've
learn
got.
new
Well,
stuff.
we're going to drive back later.
You're going to go and explore Tavistock because
A
you're
little
first,
bit.
is it? Yeah, seriously, it's such a cute little town.
And I'll upload it, and I can't edit. But you'll have the time that it takes us to get back to go. No, don't put that in.
All right, good.
Okay.
I don't go on monkeys. I got nothing to hide. Hi.
Steve. Eastgate
Eastgate Brasserie.
Brasserie in Tavistock is where this has taken place.
Yeah.
For not your benefit, for our benefit.
Just
Um,
rambling.
Thank you
so
very much.
nice to see you.
So bye bye now.
Bye. You got to reach the button.
I can't reach. I'm